One of my proudest moments as a teacher came this year when my marching band had the opportunity to perform in Chicago, Illinois for the Chicago St. Patrick's Day Parade. This was a big deal for us because even though we travel quite a bit and we try to perform in as many different places as we can, we had never really been anywhere quite as big or quite as far away as Chicago. We're a very small school in a rural community, and even seeing some of the buildings was just simply amazing for us. The proudest moment for me was when we were actually doing the parade, and as we were marching down the road, I remember thinking about all of the work that it took for this little small town band to get there. And about halfway through the parade, I looked over at my drum major, and the look on her face combined with everything else just sent me into tears immediately right there in the middle of the street in Chicago. And as long as I live, that's something I will never forget, and I hope that my kids never forget, that it doesn't matter where you came from. It matters where you're willing to go. One of my most significant challenges happened this year. In October, only hours before one of our football games, I got word that one of my band members had taken his life. Because we're a small school, we're very tight-knit, and having to stand in front of my band members and tell them that one of their friends was never coming back is something that I hope I never have to live through again in my life. However, together we overcame, because I let the kids see me as human while at the same time I was letting them be human, because this was not something that any of us could have planned for. This was not something that any of us had imagined, and to this day it's still very tough to deal with. But I'm so proud to have watched these kids overcome such an enormous obstacle that was in their way. It could have shut them down immediately, but together all of us came through this. When it comes to teaching, I'm a little bit different in the way that I think about it and the way that I approach it. This is because I feel as though our profession has somewhat lost its way from its original intent. Education seems to be more about passing than it is about actually learning. I equate it to an egg. If you think about a carton of eggs, if you open it up, they're all nice and round, they're clean, they're in lovely little rows, and it looks really nice. But that's not the real potential of the egg. You see, the real potential of the egg is inside, and we have to break through that shell one way or another to get to the true potential of that egg. And what I try to do in my classroom is I try to let my kids know that it's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. You see, society says that mistakes are ugly. To me, that's education, because when we're willing to let our guard down or break our shells, we can really learn and grow. And so no matter what I do and no matter what we go through in my classroom, I always let them know that I first have to be the best student, and I have to set the example of what I want. The biggest thing that I try to teach my students is that our audience may never remember what we played or sang, but they will never forget how we made them feel. And I believe that to be true about my teaching as well. My students may not remember everything or maybe anything that I said or taught, but they will never forget how I made them feel when they were in my classroom.